This is Father Sam Medley of the Society of Our Lady, the Most Holy Trinity. I'm excited to let you know that I will be joining the lineup of The Quest this Ash Wednesday, March 5th. We'll discuss how to have a fruitful Lent in this Jubilee year of hope, and I'd love to take your calls, emails, and questions. Please join me on this pilgrimage of faith starting Ash Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, here on the Guadalupe Radio Network and the free Guadalupe Radio app. God love you.
Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and today we are thrilled to welcome Madigan Maere to the show. Now, Madigan is a Franciscan University alumni and the passionate voice behind Love That, the Catholic dating podcast where she dives into the joys, challenges, and faith-filled perspectives of dating as a Catholic in today's crazy world. She's also a cradle Catholic with a mission to foster authentic, hope-filled relationships among singles seeking love rooted in Christ. And if that weren't exciting enough, Madigan is stepping into a brand new role on The Quest, a pilgrimage of faith, right here on Guadalupe Radio Network. So much. Wow. Good morning and welcome to the show, Madigan.
Good morning, Keith. So happy to be here. Such a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's great. We're excited about your new role. We'll talk about that in a second. But your podcast, Love That, seems to have struck a chord with a lot of Catholic singles out there. What inspired you to start it, and what gap did you see in the Catholic dating world that you were wanting to fill?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, when I started as a Catholic matchmaker, I realized that it didn't matter if I matched enough people, if there wasn't enough education around the true dating scene and how we make it better. And so it was my opportunity to basically reach the masses as quickly as possible without having a way to, I didn't want to monetize it. I wanted to let it be a free resource that existed for people. And I think that there's so many misconceptions today. I think so many people just say, oh, just try online dating. And if you haven't done that, or if you're past that stage of life, you don't really know the landscape of today. So part of it was education, and then the other part of it was informative for probably the people like my parents and their friends who were listening and going, I had no idea this is what it was like to be dating right now.
I feel the same way. I mean, I met my wife on Catholic Match, and there's all before the apps, the dating apps. And so even when I look at some of the dating landscape, I mean, it seems like a minefield today, especially those that are trying to live their faith authentically. So I guess what would be one piece of advice you've shared on the podcast that you think every Catholic single needs to hear?
We need to be so much better about being comfortable communicating with one another, our needs, our wants, our desires. Specifically just saying, I would like you to over-communicate with me, or if you're interested romantically, please communicate like this. I think we've gotten to a place where we're too afraid to say those things, and then there's a lot of misconceptions, and people get really upset at that point, and that's not what we're trying to do.
Yeah, communication is certainly key. But hey, you're also the founder of Commitmentism. That's a very cool platform. It's got a bold name and mission. Can you tell us a little about what Commitmentism is all about, and kind of how it ties into your broader vision for relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm trying to break the online dating culture. So I'm sorry to you for Catholic Match. I hope eventually they're not a thing anymore. But the whole goal is that, basically, I watched a show called Love is Blind, and I realized that there was some beauty in just having conversational chemistry with someone. And so I focus on you matching first, having a conversation before you ever see a photo, and trying to truly break the online dating culture of whether or not someone is hot or not, or worthy of talking to you based on their looks. So it's a true broad vision, but then I want to expand to everything from, how do we do pre-Cana and NFP? My whole goal is to change Catholic dating for good, which basically means that by the end, my success isn't done until we're married 25 years out with 7 kids.
Wow, that is so cool to hear. It's refreshing to hear, really. So kind of changing, pivoting here. You're stepping into a new role for the Quest, a pilgrimage of faith, on Guadalupe Radio Network. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So tell us a little more about your role and what excites you most about this new chapter.
Yeah, so I'm very excited, and it was such a gift when the offer came. Basically, my whole role is to basically be a facilitator and make it so that people who are interested or curious about the faith are able to get their questions answered. Coming from a background at Franciscan University and as a Catholic who's never left the faith, I always say, like, I'm a jack of all, master of none. So I've got enough curiosity to go, I've heard this before, but maybe I need a refresher or I need to understand a little bit better. And my hope is that anyone who's listening can really get the information that they're looking for from these priests, because they have such a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I know people have questions. And so my whole goal is to basically make them look good, and help the people who are listening, when they call in, get their questions answered thoroughly as possible, to make sure that everyone feels like they've just really taken that drive time home and had such an enriching experience.
Yes, so drive time, so that's 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, and you're going to be joining Tuesday, March 4th. So that's just next week. That is so cool. Yeah. Now, the idea of, the quest says it's a pilgrimage of faith, really is very rich in our Catholic tradition. So, I don't know. How do you plan to approach that kind of theme? And I guess, what can listeners expect from the show under your quote unquote facilitating?
I don't know if it's too early to make a joke, but I was about to be like, in the spirit of pilgrimage, I will fast for that full period of time, right? As we're going on this journey together, I'll make sure that that's an experience. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, just I'm going to do my best to make sure that I've got a prayerful heart. I know that sometimes keeping prayer life when everything gets busy is really hard. And so my hope is that I can come in, grounded, so that you guys can get what you're looking for out of it. My whole goal is to just make sure that, everyone gets knowledge and wealth and information to help their spiritual journey as well. So that's why I'm also super excited that we're launching during Lent, because I think that we have such a beautiful opportunity to kind of enter in with these people as we go on the Easter journey, and then as we do that, kind of walk step by step through maybe different things that have come up, whether they write into the show or call in with their questions. We really have such an opportunity to walk with them week by week, and my hope is to do the same as well.
Nice. So your work with Love That focuses obviously on relationships, which are kind of a journey in themselves. Do you see any connections between the search for love and the broader pilgrimage of faith you'll be exploring on the quest?
Absolutely. I think in order to truly to love someone is to know them, right? And so if we are not taking the time to know and explore our faith, we really don't have the same opportunity to dive in and have that deeper relationship with Christ, right? It's both the intellectual and the emotional that really allows for us to have that deeper connection with him. And so if, similar to me, you've been focusing on the emotional for quite some time because the intellectual can be maybe hard to take a bite out of at times, we want to kind of make it so that it's easier to understand, grasp, and then be able to walk together and build that relationship with Christ in knowing him and loving him, and knowing him specifically in the intellectual side, and then loving him on the emotional side.
Okay. So just to give everybody kind of a landscape of the quest. So Mondays, you start the week off with Father Cedric Pizzegna, and then Madigan will be jumping in on Tuesday to facilitate, and you, and I mean you out there listening, you'll have access to Monsignor Charles Pope, who's also a contributor to Morning Joy. And then Madigan also continues on Wednesdays with Father Sam Medley. Very exciting stuff. And then Thursday, we're back to Father Cedric Pizzegna. And then sometimes we'll have some other special guest priests there. And then, of course, Friday, Monsignor will get us ready for the Sunday readings and headlines going into the weekend. So this is a really incredible endeavor that I know everybody's excited for you, Madigan. When it comes to just being just a young, energetic voice. And I think everybody can hear it like this. I didn't even give her questions ahead of time. She is incredibly quick, witty. So we're very excited for this brand new endeavor. But I guess a quick question for you, and I talked to Sissel a little about it, but I'm curious to know, since we're talking about Lent, you brought up Lent too. What was your most creative, whether it's, fasting or thing you gave up in the years past during Lent?
Wow. So when I probably didn't understand the beauty behind Lent and what it was meant for. If we're being really honest, when I was in high school, I gave up talking to my boyfriend for the entire 40 days. I wish that was a joke. We ended up meeting right afterwards and going to prom. It was right after Easter. I think one of the times that it's been the most fruitful was probably at Franciscan. And I think, I don't know if I can remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure I just tried to either get into our chapel or go to the Portiuncula, the Adoration Chapel. I just tried to really prioritize that in a different way. And so for me, sometimes it's, the journey of the elephant, right, is one bite at a time. And so I don't know that my Lents have been super fruitful when I've done the most extreme things, but really when I've tried to bake in, an extra 15 minutes or something little that makes it so that I remember kind of the penances that call me closer to the suffering of Jesus throughout that time.
So is that also when you figured out like communication was very important?
Yeah. We made it work. What's great is that, every Sunday I think we'd have one phone conversation in honor of the feast day. But I think, it was such a fun time. And when looking back, right, you wanted to do the most extreme thing, right? Please do not stop talking to your husband or your wife for the 40 days. Like, it just doesn't work like that. But that was something that I thought I'd try and was happy that I did.
Oh, gosh. So where can people find you? Obviously, the Quest, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. But where else can people find you?
Yeah, so commitmentism.com. That's commitmentism.com. And then I also have a strong LinkedIn presence. So I don't do social media. It's not my thing. Kind of goes against my whole brand of getting to know someone as a human. And so, you can find me on LinkedIn, LinkedIn-Madigan-Maere. And then I also, if you have any questions, matchmaker@commitmentism.com. I try and make myself as available as possible, but I'll be really honest with you, emails have never been my thing. So we're continually working towards it.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to include all of those links and everything, all the information in the show notes. But my goodness, thank you so much, Madigan, for joining us. Really excited to hear you and see you Tuesday, March 4th on The Quest, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. But that is it for Morning Joy, where truth matters. Now, there's a couple of paths we can take, right? If you're listening on the radio right now and you're going to be staying for the Holy Mass coming up next, please pray for us. We will always and continue to pray for you and your intentions. Otherwise, we are about to transition on over to the After Show Clubhouse, where we get to hang out with you. That's the most important part. But we get to debrief from today's show, let our hair down, so to speak, because there's no time constraints. So that is on social media. So if you're on social media, go ahead and search Morning Joy Radio or GRN online. But hey, this is us parting ways for the day. God bless and make it a joyful Wednesday. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. But until then, God bless.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.